Alright, let's talk about something truly delightful. Journalists. Yes, those wonderful people who ask powerful figures uncomfortable questions and then write stories that make your uncle furious on Facebook. They are, in many ways, the watchdogs of democracy. But what happens when someone decides to watch the watchdogs? Well, you get a situation like the one that just unfolded at the Washington Post, a newspaper you might know from such hits as Watergate and That Thing Jeff Bezos Owns. This wasn't some kid in a basement trying to get free access to the comics section. No, this was a sophisticated, targeted cyber attack aimed squarely at the paper's reporters. And when hackers go after journalists, they're not just trying to steal passwords, they're trying to silence a story, intimidate a source, and ultimately, poke a stick in the eye of a free press. It's a digital age break-in, but instead of a crowbar, the weapon is an email. The alarm bells started ringing not with a bang, but with a click. A few journalists at the Post received emails that looked, for all intents and purposes, completely legitimate. They seemed to come from trusted sources, perhaps even colleagues, with subject lines designed to pique a reporter's natural curiosity. Think about it. A journalist's entire job revolves around getting information, so an email promising a hot tip or a confidential document is basically catnip. The problem, of course, was that these emails were Trojan horses. They were meticulously crafted fakes, designed by sophisticated actors to trick these reporters into giving up the keys to their digital kingdom, their usernames, their passwords, and access to their entire professional lives. This wasn't a random spray-and-pray attack. This was a coordinated effort, a digital spear aimed at the heart of the newsroom. Thankfully, the Washington Post has a team of people whose job it is to be professionally paranoid. Their cybersecurity division, which I imagine is just a room full of people who trust absolutely no one and drink coffee that is 90% espresso, spotted the anomalies. They noticed unusual login attempts and suspicious network traffic originating from servers in places you definitely don't want your data going. The IT team quickly identified the attack as a targeted spear phishing campaign. That's the fancy term for when hackers do their homework. They don't just send a generic, "You've won a Nigerian lottery" email. They research their targets, learn their names, their beats, and their contacts, and then craft a personalized lure that's incredibly difficult to resist. The attack was a stark, flashing red light reminder that in 2025, the front line of journalism isn't just in a war zone, it's in an inbox. The immediate aftermath was a flurry of activity. The Post security team went into lockdown mode, forcing password resets across the organization and launching a full-scale investigation to determine the extent of the breach and, crucially, who was behind it. While they haven't publicly named the culprits, attacks like these often bear the fingerprints of state-sponsored hacking groups. These are not your average cybercriminals. They are the highly funded, highly skilled digital armies of authoritarian regimes who really do not enjoy investigative journalism, especially when it's about them. The incident serves as a chilling illustration of the new reality for a free press. The threat isn't just political pressure or legal challenges anymore. It's a silent, invisible war being waged one malicious link at a time, threatening not just the safety of journalists but the security of the information we all rely on. It's all about the information, baby. So why go through all the trouble of hacking a journalist? It's a fair question. It's not like they have the nuclear codes or the secret recipe for Coca-Cola. Or do they? The answer is simple, and it's the same reason Willie Sutton robbed banks, because that's where the good stuff is. Journalists are walking, talking treasure troves of sensitive information. They communicate with confidential sources, whistleblowers, and dissidents. People who are often risking their jobs, their freedom, or even their lives to expose wrongdoing. Gaining access to a reporter's email account is like finding a master key to a vault of secrets. A hacker could identify anonymous sources, putting them in incredible danger. They could get an early look at a damaging investigation, giving them time to prepare a counter-narrative, or even worse, destroy evidence before the story ever sees the light of day. Furthermore, journalists are conduits. They don't just hold information, they are actively gathering it from some of the most powerful and secretive corners of the world. Think about a reporter covering national security, or corporate espionage, or political corruption. Their contact lists, their interview notes, their draft articles. These are intelligence goldmines for foreign governments and corporate rivals alike. Hacking a journalist is a fantastically efficient way to conduct espionage. Instead of trying to breach a heavily fortified government server, You can just target the person who has already done the hard work of getting someone inside that government to talk. It's a strategic backdoor into places that are otherwise impenetrable, making journalists high-value targets for intelligence agencies looking for an edge. There's also the intimidation factor, which, let's be honest, is a huge part of the appeal for the bad guys. Launching a cyber attack against a news organization is a power move. It's a way for authoritarian regimes or shady corporations to send a clear, menacing message: we see you, we can reach you, and we can make your life and the lives of your sources very difficult. This creates a chilling effect. A journalist who knows their communications are being monitored might become hesitant to tackle sensitive subjects. A source who fears being exposed by a hack might decide it's just not worth the risk to speak out. The goal isn't always to steal something specific. Sometimes the goal is to create an atmosphere of fear and paranoia that stifles the very practice of investigative journalism. And finally, let's not forget the potential for chaos and disinformation. If hackers gain control of a journalist's email or social media accounts, they can do more than just read their messages. They can impersonate them. Imagine a hacker sending fake emails from a trusted reporter's account to their contacts, spreading false information or soliciting sensitive details. They could even try to publish fabricated stories under the journalist's name, severely damaging their credibility and the reputation of their news organization. In an era already drowning in fake news, the ability to hijack the platforms of legitimate journalists is a terrifyingly powerful tool for anyone looking to manipulate public opinion and sow discord. It turns a trusted voice into an unwitting puppet. So, how did these digital cat burglars actually pull this off? They used one of the oldest and, depressingly, most effective tricks in the book, phishing. Now, phishing sounds like a relaxing weekend activity, but in the tech world, it's far less pleasant and involves significantly more identity theft. The process is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. Step 1 is reconnaissance. The hackers didn't just pick a name out of a hat. They studied their targets at the Washington Post. They learned who reports on what, who they might be communicating with, and what kind of email might catch their eye. They were looking for the perfect bait, something so plausible that the target wouldn't think twice before, and this is the crucial part: clicking on it. It's like a magician's trick, all about distraction and misdirection. Step 2 is crafting the lure. This is where the artistry, if you can call it that, comes in. The hackers create an email that looks absolutely, positively authentic. They might spoof the email address of a colleague or a known contact, making it appear to come from someone the journalist trusts. The email itself will contain a message designed to provoke an immediate action. It could be something urgent like security alert, please verify your account credentials immediately, or something enticing like confidential document leak regarding our upcoming story. The message will almost always contain a link or an attachment. And that link, my friends, is the trapdoor. It's the digital equivalent of a sign that says, "Free kittens," but leads to a room full of angry hornets. Step 3 is the fake-out. When the journalist clicks the malicious link, they are taken to a web page that is a carbon copy of a familiar site like a Google or Microsoft login page, or the newspaper's internal network portal. Every detail is designed to look legitimate. The logos, the fonts, the color scheme. It's a digital movie set. The page will prompt the user to enter their username and password to view the promised document or resolve the supposed security issue. The victim, believing they are on a secure official site, types in their credentials. They might think they are logging in to read a top-secret file, but what they are actually doing is handing their username and password directly to the hackers on a silver platter. And finally, step 4, the payload. Once the hackers have the credentials, it's game over. They can now log into the journalist's email account, cloud storage, and other sensitive systems as if they were the journalist. From there, they can download entire email archives, monitor ongoing communications in real time, steal contact lists, and use the compromised account to launch further attacks against other people in the organization. The victim often has no idea they've been hacked until it's far too late. They might be redirected to the real login page after entering their details, or see a generic error message, leaving them to assume it was just a temporary glitch. Meanwhile, the hackers are already inside, quietly ransacking their digital life. So, faced with this digital onslaught, what did the Washington Post do? They didn't just send out a memo saying, "Please, for the love of God, stop clicking on weird links." Their response was swift and multi-layered. First, their cybersecurity team initiated an immediate enterprise-wide password reset. This is the digital equivalent of changing all the locks on a building after a break-in. It instantly invalidates the stolen credentials, kicking the hackers out of any accounts they had managed to access. They then launched a forensic investigation, combing through network logs to trace the attacker's footsteps, identify what, if anything, was stolen, and seal up any vulnerabilities that were exploited. This is painstaking, detail-oriented work, essentially dusting for digital fingerprints. Now, this is all fantastic, but you don't need a multi-million-dollar IT department to protect yourself. There are simple, practical steps every single one of us can take. First and foremost, enable two-factor authentication or 2FA on everything. Yes, everything. Your email, your social media, your bank account. 2FA means that even if a hacker steals your password, they can't get in without a second code, which is usually sent to your phone. It is the single best thing you can do to protect your accounts. Yes, it's a tiny bit annoying to have to wait for a code, but you know what's more annoying? Having your identity stolen by a hacker collective from a country you can't pronounce. Turn on 2FA. Do it now. I'll wait. Next, become a professional skeptic when it comes to your inbox. Treat every email that asks for personal information or urges you to click a link with deep suspicion. Look closely at the sender's email address. Hackers often use addresses that are just one letter off from a legitimate one. Hover your mouse over links before you click them to see the actual web address they lead to. If an email from a colleague feels even slightly off, maybe the tone is weird or the grammar is sloppy, don't click anything. Pick up the phone or send a separate message to verify that they actually sent it. A 5-second check can save you from a world of hurt. Be paranoid. It's the new sensible. Ultimately, this attack on the Washington Post is more than just a tech story. It's a story about the fragility of the truth. In a world where it's increasingly difficult to tell fact from fiction, independent journalism is one of our last, best defenses. Supporting it doesn't just mean paying for a subscription, it also means recognizing the very real dangers journalists face and advocating for their protection. These cyber attacks are attempts to intimidate, to silence, and to control the narrative. Our best response is to remain vigilant in our own digital lives and unwavering in our support for those who work tirelessly to hold power to account. Because if their voices are silenced, we are all left in the dark.